Hi, and welcome back to the Petersen Automotive Museum YouTube channel. I'm Johnny Eisen, Associate Curator here at the museum, and we're up on the third floor, our Otis Booth History floor, and we are looking at a definite piece of history here. This is the Peel P50, the smallest production car ever made. And to learn a little bit about why it exists, we have to go back to the end of World War II. European economies were in a shambles, and people really couldn't afford new cars. So a new kind of car was invented, the microcar, teeny tiny cars that used a minimal amount of materials and were extremely cheap. And this was a way to get Europeans back on wheels after World War II. So the golden age of the microcar was the decade of the 1950s. By the end of the 50s, it was easy to buy an Austin Mini or a Volkswagen Beetle. These were bigger, more substantial cars that weren't much more expensive than the tiny, rickety microcars. The car behind us, the P50, was built in 1965, well after the microcar era had come to an end, which is probably one of the reasons why it wasn't a huge success. Now, who was Peel Engineering? They're the company that built this car, and they started out in the 1950s, formed by a man named Cyril Cannell, who was a World War II veteran. He moved after the war to the harbor town of Peel and started a business building fiberglass boat hulls. So Peel's fiberglass boat business was doing really well, and Cyril Cannell decided he wanted to see how to expand his business on that tiny island of Man. One thing that was growing in popularity in England were fiberglass kit cars that could be put on old chassis. After the war, while England was trying to rebuild its economy, most of its automobiles were built for export. So people were reduced to buying rusty old cars from before the war. One thing to make them better was to put a new body on them after the old body had rusted out, and Peel started making a variety of body styles that could be put on pre-war cars. So one thing the Isle of Man is most famous for is the road race, the Isle of Man TT, a motorcycle race that was started in 1907. It's one of the fastest moto races in the world, also one of the deadliest. With his fiberglass business, people would come to him to repair the aerodynamic fairings on the front of motorcycles. And Peel fairings became quite popular for racers all over Europe. So the fairings for motorcycles made by Peel were extremely popular, and they would present these every year at the Earl's Court Motorcycle Show in London. In 1962, they decided to come up with something to attract people to their booth, and that was by building the world's smallest car. The car is, of course, made out of fiberglass. Cyril Cannell and an engineer at Peel figured out what the smallest size they could build that would still fit a normal-sized person. I'm 6 feet tall and I can fit in the car. And the original prototype actually had one wheel in front and two wheel in back, and was really funny looking and amusing and attracted many people to the Peel booth at the motorcycle show. It got so much attention that they started thinking, well, maybe it would actually be a viable product, and they put it into production. So the Peel P50 went on sale in around 1963. It was advertised as almost cheaper than walking. It's powered by a 50cc DKW engine, sort of a moped-sized motor that's situated almost in the cabin with you. Like I said, body made out of fiberglass. You get one headlight, 3 forward gears, and no reverse. I'll show you how the reverse works in a moment. The interior obviously is as minimal as possible. You get a seat with some very thin padding, you get a steering wheel, a gear shift, and that's about it. You've got the engine in there with you, so it's extremely loud, kind of smelly. You get a sliding window only on the passenger side. Driving this thing around is quite an experience. We've got a very short wheelbase, got teeny tiny wheels, they're 5-inch wheels, and not much suspension. So really it's kind of like being dragged along the ground on one of those red wagons that you would sit in as a kid. So in the 1960s, England's economy was really very poor. People didn't have a lot of money, and as such, motorcycles and motor scooters were rather popular. So the idea with the P50 was that it was like a scooter, but you had weather protection. Obviously, England is famous for the rain. But there is not much practicality here. Really, you can only fit yourself in the car. If you had a bag of groceries with you, there's almost no place to put it. You'd have to stick it on your lap. That'd be very awkward. So Peel actually did follow up this car with a car called the Trident, which looks like something out of the Jetsons, but it was a two-seater, so you had a little bit of room next to you. You could put a couple bags of groceries in it. Now, they built between 50 and 70 of these. Today, only 26 remain. And this is one of the original Peel cars. It's extremely rare and extremely precious. It is this interesting maroon color, which is painted over the original blue. Originally, you can get them in red, white, and blue. But the original owner decided he wanted something, I guess, a little snazzier, and looks like used a spray can to paint it. So like I said, the transmission has 3 forward gears, no reverse. So how do you go backwards or turn around? Well, Peel thoughtfully provided a little handle in back here. The car is light enough that you would just lift it up, spin it around, and off you go. So the 49cc engine in the car makes about 4.2 horsepower. In order to save weight, all the windows, except for the windshield, are plastic. Peel did provide a little rear window here, but of course there's no rear view mirror in the car, only a side mirror. So I'm not quite sure what you would do with that back window. So Peel ended up building about 50 to 70 of these cars in the 3 to 4 years that they manufactured them. They were very small, people didn't find them very practical, and they were really mostly a gimmick. But they became legendary as the smallest production car in the world. And starting in the 1980s, people started to build replicas of them. Very recently, in the 21st century, the company was relaunched to remanufacture Peels. They're quite expensive now, over $20,000, I believe. And at this point, we've got many, many, many more replicas than original cars because, well, it's really one of the most charming little vehicles ever built and brings a smile on everybody's face who sees one. So that's the story of the world's smallest production car, the Peel P50. Don't forget to subscribe to keep updated on all our videos. And when you're in Los Angeles, come on down and visit us at the Petersen Automotive Museum.